she bout to come. When I come, I rub my dick across her gums. She love me cause I'm all about funds and having fun. Broke her ass for a honey bun. Had to hit me back, she had to.
In the Oika's bullshit challenges GC. Alright, dumbasses, listen up. We're doing an experiment. Oh fuck, this already sounds stupid. I'm in. For the next 24 hours, we are ignoring our boyfriends. No texts, no calls, no simp behavior. Absolute radio silence. Let's see who the weakest bitch is. What the fuck? Bro, Kageyama is gonna kill me. I don't think I can. Might sit out for this one. Hell no, I can't ignore Akashi for that long. That's the fucking point. Bokuto. Let's see who breaks first. Sakusa's gonna think I hate him. I love it. I'm gonna win. But what if Akashi thinks I hate him? Then that's a you problem. Now shut the fuck up and commit to the bit. First one to crack has to buy everyone food. I'm already fucking cracking. That was embarrassingly fast. I give Bokuto 5 minutes. Let the suffering begin. Sakuatsu. The silence was unbearable. Sakusa wasn't sure how long it had been. Hours, maybe a full day, since Atsumu had last looked at him properly, since he had heard his voice directed at him instead of others. The air between them felt heavy, suffocating, thick with all the words Atsumu refused to say. And Sakusa, he was beginning to break under it. It started with something small, something Sakusa couldn't even pinpoint anymore. A misplaced word, a misunderstanding. Maybe he had done something wrong, but Atsumu wouldn't tell him what. He just stopped talking, stopped looking, stopped acknowledging him. Sakusa tried, at first, to convince himself that it was fine, that he was fine. He told himself he was used to quiet. He But Kageyama was worse. It had all started innocently enough. A simple challenge, really. Oikawa, as usual, had sent one of his usual annoying messages in the group chat. Bet you can't go 24 hours without speaking to your boyfriend, it read, followed by an eye roll emoji. Hinata, ever the competitive spirit, had taken the bait instantly. Challenge accepted, he'd texted back with a mischievous grin, and that was the end of it. Kageyama had no idea what was coming. For the first time in their relationship, Hinata decided he was going to keep quiet. No matter what Kageyama did, he was going to win this challenge, just to prove that he could do it. So he didn't text Kageyama all day. He ignored his calls. He even pretended to be too busy when Kageyama showed up at their shared apartment. But Kageyama wasn't stupid. He knew something was off. Hinata was too quiet, too distant, and it bugged the hell out of him. By the end of the first hour, Kageyama was already trying to get under Hinata's skin. It was subtle at first, little things. He'd sit way too close on the couch, watching Hinata out of the corner of his eye. Hey, Kageyama had said with that annoyingly teasing grin of his, you're not going to break, are you? Hinata had just stared at the TV, pretending to be absorbed in whatever nonsense he was watching. No response. The second hour wasn't much better. Kageyama began turning up the heat. First, he turned the volume on the TV all the way up. Then, just as Hinata was trying to focus on the screen, Kageyama started making very loud slurping noises with his drink, obviously enjoying the sound of it way too much. Still nothing from Hinata. The third hour was when Kageyama began to get creative. He walked into the living room in nothing but his gym shorts, dripping sweat from practice. He made sure to drop his towel dramatically on the couch as he walked past Hinata, and when he caught a glimpse of his boyfriend's expression, a mix of frustration and determination, he smirked to himself. Are you just gonna sit there like that? I think you need a shower, Kageyama teased, letting the steam from his skin fill the room. I could help you with that. Hinata's jaw clenched, but he didn't respond. He refused to look at Kageyama, focusing even harder on the TV as if it were his lifeline. Kageyama wasn't done yet. He wanted to break Hinata. He needed to hear him say something, anything. As the hours ticked by, Kageyama made it a point to engage in the most irritating behavior he could think of. He would cough loudly, then clear his throat obnoxiously. When he passed by Hinata, he'd deliberately brush against him, his fingers grazing against Hinata's skin in the most casual, teasing way. And yet, Hinata remained silent. Seriously, Kageyama said, standing over him. You're going to act like I don't exist? You can't seriously be this stubborn. He leaned down, his face just inches away from Hinata's, his breath hot against his neck. Hinata refused to look at him, his eyes fixed firmly on the screen. But Kageyama wasn't finished with him. He sat down next to Hinata, so close their legs were almost touching, and he leaned in, his lips brushing against Hinata's ear as he whispered, you know, ignoring me is only making me want to kiss you more. Hinata's body tensed at the proximity, his breath hitching slightly. He bit his lip, clearly struggling to keep his composure, but he refused to speak. Kageyama smiled wickedly. You sure you don't want to say something? I mean, I could always give you something to think about. The moment those words left Kageyama's lips, his hand slid onto Hinata's thigh, fingers lightly tracing the fabric of his pants. He was just barely touching him, but it was enough to make Hinata's heart race. Hinata's chest heaved slightly, but he stayed silent, his face flushed with embarrassment, and maybe a little with desire. He wasn't going to break. He was determined. But Kageyama wasn't done. He leaned back, watching Hinata closely, his hand subtly shifting on his thigh, fingertips teasing along the edge of the waistband. I could do a lot of things to make you talk, you know, but you're being so quiet. It's almost like you want me to keep going. Hinata squeezed his eyes shut, his fists clenched. Damn it. Kageyama knew exactly what he was doing. Kageyama's voice dropped to a low, almost seductive whisper. You're really gonna make me work for it, huh? What's it gonna take? Hinata, do I need to kiss you to make you speak? Hinata froze. His breathing became uneven. He was fighting so hard, the temptation burning through him, but he couldn't give in. He couldn't. Kageyama's hand slid up slightly, brushing against the side of Hinata's waist, his thumb pressing lightly against his hip. Just say something, anything. You know I'm not going to let you win this easily. Hinata was trembling now, and Kageyama saw it, that tiny flicker of weakness in his eyes, but he still wouldn't speak. I'm impressed, Kageyama said with a teasing smile. You're making it harder for me, and I'm not sure I like that. He pulled his hand away, moving just slightly back to watch Hinata's reaction. For a moment, Hinata looked almost relieved, but his body was still rigid, clearly fighting to stay strong. You're not going to give up, are you? Kageyama said, genuinely impressed by his boyfriend's willpower. Hinata took a deep breath, his resolve firming. No, his voice was soft, but it was there, like a quiet victory. Kageyama's lips twitched into a smirk. Well, you're too stubborn for your own good. but you know, he leaned in close again, I'll make sure you know I'm here, even if you won't speak to me. He pressed his lips to Hinata's neck, the faintest brush of warmth that sent a shiver through the taller man's body. Hinata was shaking, so close, he thought, so close to breaking, but somehow, by the end of the 24 hours, he had made it. He had won. Kageyama leaned back, looking at him with a mix of admiration and frustration. You really are a pain in the ass, he muttered, trying to hide the grin tugging at his lips. Hinata finally turned to him, a wide, victorious grin on his face. Told you, Oika's challenge wasn't so hard after all, yet, but I'm still going to get you back for that, Kageyama said, his eyes narrowing playfully. Hinata rolled his eyes, but there was a glint of humor in his gaze. We'll see about that, you cocky setter. Kageyama smirked. Oh, we'll see. Bokuakaa. Bokuto was never the type to forget things, especially not things that were important. But today, in the midst of his usual boisterous, energetic self, he forgot something crucial, something that Akashi had set up. Akashi had watched it all unfold with a silent patience. Bokuto had been too wrapped up in his own head, too lost in his own world. The challenge had started so innocently, a silly little bet between them, a fun distraction from their usual routines. I bet you can't ignore me for 24 hours, Akashi had said, raising an eyebrow in challenge. And, naturally, Bokuto had accepted. He always did, especially when it came to Akashi. The rules were simple, no talking to Akashi for a full 24 hours. Akashi had a strange little smirk on his face when he'd proposed it, but Bokuto hadn't questioned it. He was a bit too proud for that, his usual confidence blazing. Easy, he'd boasted, I can ignore you all day and still win. But it was now well past the 12-hour mark, and instead of ignoring Akashi, Bokuto was practically glued to him. Bokuto had been so distracted by his own thoughts, some random volleyball strategies, a funny meme he'd seen earlier, and of course, his own loud inner monologue, that he forgot the very challenge he'd so confidently accepted. He was sitting on the couch next to Akashi, his leg bouncing impatiently as he tried to think of the next big thing to talk about. Akashi, for his part, had been focused on his book, the silence between them oddly comfortable despite the challenge, but the longer the silence stretched, the more Bokuto felt the itch to break it. Hey, Akashi, Bokuto said suddenly, unable to stop himself. Akashi didn't even look up from his book. He hummed, still focused. Do you think I'd make a good coach one day? Bokuto asked, completely off topic and oblivious. Like, imagine me yelling at some kids to get their shit together. Wouldn't that be funny? Akashi turned a page, the sound of it too crisp in the quiet room. Maybe, he said, still not looking up. Bokuto leaned closer, trying to catch Akashi's attention. I mean, you think I'd be a good coach, right? I've got all this energy. Are you ignoring me? Akashi's voice was calm, but it carried a hint of something that made Bokuto pause mid-sentence. Bokuto blinked. Ignoring you? No, why would I do that? Akashi finally lowered his book, his eyes narrowing. You're supposed to be ignoring me. Remember the challenge? Bokuto's face fell as realization hit him like a brick. Wait, shit, I forgot. Akashi raised an eyebrow, his usual composed self not even flinching. I thought you could handle it. You were so confident. Bokuto groaned, slumping back against the couch. I didn't mean to. I got caught up in everything. I didn't realize how hard it would be. I've just been rambling and not even thinking about the challenge. He ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely guilty. Akashi's lips curled into a small, amused smile. It's not that hard, you know. You just need to keep quiet for the rest of the time. Bokuto pouted. But I can't stand it. It feels like my brain is going to explode if I don't talk to you. Akashi chuckled softly. You're the one who wanted the challenge. You should have kept track. Bokuto looked at him with puppy eyes, his voice whiny. Please, can't I just talk to you? I'll ignore you tomorrow for 24 hours if you let me talk now. Akashi shook his head, suppressing a laugh. You're hopeless. He reached for his book again, pretending to ignore Bokuto. Bokuto's eyes flickered with mischief as an idea popped into his head. He knew Akashi's soft spots, and there was one thing he could always rely on to get his attention. He leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a sultry whisper. Akashi. Akashi didn't even flinch, still pretending to read. Bokuto took a deep breath, fighting the urge to grin. He put a hand on Akashi's shoulder and lightly rubbed it, his touch gentle yet persistent. You know, you look really cute when you're all focused like that. Akashi's fingers tightened around his book for a split second, but he didn't say anything. Bokuto took it a step further, leaning down to place a kiss on the side of Akashi's neck, just barely brushing against his skin. I think I've forgotten why I was supposed to ignore you. You're just so irresistible, he teased. Akashi's eyes fluttered, but his voice was steady when he spoke. Bokuto, you're impossible. Bokuto moved even closer, his lips almost brushing against Akashi's ear now. I promise I'll make it up to you later, he whispered with a mischievous grin. I won't talk for the rest of the day. Just let me. Don't even think about it. Akashi finally pulled away, his expression softening with a quiet laugh. You've already lost. You're talking to me now, and I'm not going to let you wiggle out of this one. Bokuto's face dropped in mock disappointment. You're so mean, he said dramatically, but there was a glint of affection in his eyes. I didn't even get to try for more than half the time. I just wanted to see if I could win. Akashi leaned back in his chair, chuckling under his breath. Maybe next time you'll remember what the challenge actually is. Bokuto groaned, slumping forward in defeat, though he couldn't hide the smile creeping across his face. Fine, fine. I'll admit it, I lost. But you know I can't stay quiet for long. You're just too much of a distraction. Akashi raised an eyebrow, his lips curling into a smirk. Is that so? Bokuto's grin widened. Yeah, you're my favorite distraction. Akashi's smile softened, his gaze warm and affectionate. You're ridiculous, but I wouldn't have you any other way. Bokuto laughed, feeling lighter now that the challenge was over. You're lucky I love you, you know that. Akashi's gaze softened even more, the teasing tone in his voice replaced with something genuine. Yeah, I know.
from the start.